Mabon is just around the corner, by which I mean I am recording this the day before. For my coven's ritual, we are doing a dinner based off of the folktale stone soup. So the base of my stew is going to be a vegetable stock made of scraps. These are all of the onion skins, got a broccoli stalk, some wilted spinach, basically anything that was almost going. I cut it off, I put it in the freezer into this little baggie. Normally when I make this is actually much bigger, but I made some stock like at the end of August, so this is all I have. But you take all of your fixins and you toss it in a pot. And when I say like garlic skins, I truly mean not garlic skins, onion skins. The truly inedible parts of food, or what we think of as inedible. Carrot tops, the stalks of any broccoli or cauliflower that you're like, this is disgusting, I'm not gonna eat this. Anything that's a little too fibrous but is still not poisonous, toss it into your stock pot, babies, because that's soup. The process of boiling it forever will pull all of the vitamin and the flavor out and leave the fibrous, icky parts still in the vegetables. And then we can toss out the solids and we have a delicious, hearty, homemade broth. I'm adding a bunch of salt because I always chronically undersalt my food, so I don't know if that's the correct amount. I'm also going to toss in a bay leaf because all soup is better with a bay leaf. We've added some oregano, stuff where I know the flavor is going to leach into the broth without worrying about, I feel like putting paprika in the broth would be kind of a waste. I could be wrong, we'll find out. We're gonna fill this up with water and then set it on the oven for as long as humanly possible. I can't put it in today's soup because of coven dietary restrictions, but one of the other things that you can throw into your leftover vegetable soup stock is, and I'm not kidding, cheese rinds. Like when you get to the very end of an extremely hard cheese, the very end of the Parmesan, the very end of the Locatelli, the very end of the Romano, I'm just repeating Italian hard cheeses I know. The rind, yeah, toss that in there, and even though the rind itself isn't edible, all of the flavors and all of the fun will leach out, and at the end, either the rind will have fully dissolved, and you have a beautiful piece in your stew, like that beautiful umami richness in your stew, or you have an extremely soft piece of rind that's very easily grabbable. You can take it out along with all of your other vegetable solids that you don't want, toss it in the trash. Honestly, this cheese piece leveled up my life. I'll check back in like an hour. The other major part of the stew base that I'm making for my coven ritual is going to be some ground up roasted onions. I cut an onion, I threw it with some oil, tossed it in the oven at 350, flipped it after 45 minutes to an hour, and turned off the oven after 45 minutes to an hour. I'm an excellent cooking vlogger. And now I'm gonna toss it into a blender and we're gonna blend. Now, often when you're cooking, especially if you're frying something or if you're kind of baking something in the oven with oil, you end up with these dark little bits. It's called fond, and it's fucking delicious. But right now, it's here, not in my blender. So I'm gonna commit some crimes against everyone I know by using some wild, foraged violet leaves to help. That was just a little bit. So I'm going to commit a crime against everyone I know by using some violet leaves. Some of these are gonna get cut up and put in the stew, but I'm gonna have some of them in this puree, and I'm gonna use these to mop up all that fond and salt. If you're cooking something in a frying pan, and you wanted to get all this up, what you would instead do is deglaze the pan by tossing in some light wine, some red wine, some water if you're tight, like really tight for cash and tight for options, but basically any liquid, polar liquid. Oil won't work, but any polar liquid to help basically force all of this back up into solution so that you can then pour that into a dressing or into a sauce. So that's the base for your sauce. But I don't know how I would do that conveniently, and also I don't have wine. I only own hard liquor. So we're gonna use these to mop stuff up. Like, they're very clearly picking up all of the beautiful flavor. I lied, I am gonna use a little bit of water. And then I'm gonna add a tiny bit of water to this to make sure that it doesn't break the blender, and we're gonna blend and see what puree we get. So the onion puree is all pureed. It's a little thicker than it could be, I think because the blender can't really handle the amount of onions in there, like it wants more onion, but also I don't have a smaller thing and I didn't want to put more onions. So this is gonna be great. Gonna mix that into the soup. And then this, the stock has only been going for like 20 minutes tops. But if I mix it up a little bit, you can see already the water is taking on this gorgeous gold color. And that's because if you look at all of the little onion skins, they're losing their color. This is so much more dramatic when you have red onions. You know, then you get like this gorgeous like rose and then eventually like almost hibiscus colored vegetable stock, and I fucking love it. This still, however, needs a lot more time because all of these vegetables, they're solid. That's not acceptable. The greens haven't even turned bright green yet. And like, first they gotta turn bright green, and then they gotta turn just the ugliest, most sad, sallow green color ever. Because then, that means all the flavor and the color is in the water. I'll check back in later. Broth update. The greens have gotten bright, and then they have gotten wan, kind of brown looking. The broth is so much deeper. I'm still gonna leave it on though, because we still have a little bit of firmness in these greens and in this onion. There's still some life left in there. I gotta boil that out. Final soup check. How does she look? Well, the greens look wan and disgusting. Everything slices beautifully if I even so much as touch it. The onion skin, Jesus Christ. And the broth herself is this gorgeous little honey brown color. Yeah, this is ready. And there is our finished broth. I will see you tomorrow maybe to get this actually in a pot and into some people. It's the next morning, and this is already what we have for the soup. This is the vegetable stock, the pureed onion that was roasted, the violet leaves, and the menumin, and already this is looking delicious, and I haven't added any of the real vegetables. No one's brought their contribution yet. We haven't added any, like, more grains to it. It just looks beautiful as is, so that's a good place to start from.